Hi, Jennah.
Oh, hi.
Thank you so much for being willing to answer questions for my article. I'm really
Of
excited to
course.
see you. And we're
It's my favorite stuff to do.
yes. You're very New York right now on your fire escape. And
I know. I want a little scenery.
it's perfect. I love it so much. And my cat is looking over my shoulder at my dresser.
Aw.
Yeah.
I didn't even see him go up there. Look at it. Just chilling.
She's a little lurker. So I met Jennah in the Somatica core training we both did. And
Yes.
we did a practice session together and we're immediately like, this human is amazing. And then
Yes.
Jennah moved to New York and we were like, getting
Let's hang
together.
out.
And I'm so happy to have you as a connection.
I'm so happy to. It was honestly so comforting. You messaged me the week I moved here and I was like, oh my God, I already have a friend.
You do. I'm so excited to like continue talking about all things like somatica and sex and relationships and stuff. And Jennah has like an amazing passion for educating people about stuff too. And she and I have had a similar upbringing, and it's really powerful to be able to connect with someone.
Oh yeah, it's very comforting.
It is. So I'm just going to ask you some questions about your relationship. So I wrote this article about dating your friends. And I am really wanting to get a perspective of somebody who's been in a long-term relationship, who can speak to maybe what dating your friends would add or not add to your relationship. And someone from the inside who is partnered and, you've been partnered for a while, I know. So I'd love to know how you feel about all of this. So my first question is really casual and open-ended. So tell me about your relationship and how long you guys have been together and kind of like your relationship dynamic and stuff.
Oh, well, we have been dating for 10 years this year, which is crazy. So we met really young, and our relationship has changed so much over the years because we've changed so much over the years. But ultimately, we're best friends. And I think that that's what's kept us together, is we just really love living life together. But we also have that romantic aspect that hasn't faded after all this time. Like, we just really love each other's energy. And he's very intelligent and funny, and he's kind of like, he like picks up for the things that like I need help with, but then I'm like very sensitive and sweet, and like we kind of even each other out like that. But honestly, he's just the greatest friend I've ever had, and I can't imagine my life without him. And we have been quarantined together for pretty much since April of last year. Just really the two of us. We moved home and we lived out on his parents' farm, and they were gone most of the time with other family issues. And so it was just us for like the whole year. And now we live in New York and we're trying to make friends. So that's been an adventure for sure. Even though we've been dating so long, that was all really new. So
yeah, that was actually like, you're a mind reader. That was actually my next question. I wanted to ask about the pandemic because, you know, I feel like it's easier to maintain a relationship when you are going to work at separate places and you're so excited to see each other at the end of the day, and you leave the building that you were in. You have access to other activities that maybe you don't share together, and just having a normal pre-COVID life brings a lot of inherent balance to a relationship. And so what has it been like with somebody, like if you want to say a little more, what's it been like you guys have been long-term partners, so it's like there probably wasn't too many surprises, or maybe there was?
No, I definitely wouldn't say there were any surprises. I think it was more like, so he worked from home he's worked from home for like 3 years, but so that didn't change for him. But we were at home, which was interesting, but it was a pandemic, so we still couldn't see any family or anything. I was unemployed for 6 months because we lived out in the middle of nowhere too, and Oregon was very locked down, so it was so hard to find jobs. So he was working from home every day, I was unemployed and at home every day, and it was just a really interesting dynamic not even like just for our relationship, but I think for me, like trying to adjust to not feeling like I had independence anymore, which everyone was kind of feeling this year, but like financially he was helping me this last year, and so I didn't have that independence, and that was very new for me because I'd been supporting myself since I was like 18, so it just was kind of a crazy thing to add into everything. But then it was interesting to only have each other, and it took us a good bit of the pandemic to finally be like, we're happy, but like we're really lonely. Like our relationship doesn't have any problems necessarily, but like I would notice when I would start to get irritated with him, he literally wasn't doing anything different. It was just me being like, oh my God, I need a different personality right now. Like I need different people. And so it was cool because we learned how to communicate that this year. Like we'd be like, oh, I think I need a little bit of alone time. Like I've had a lot of you and you're wonderful, but I'm going to go over here. And that was really nice.
You are either a mind reader or I just asked the right questions, or both. My next question is about loneliness.
Perfect.
Yeah. I would love to hear both in COVID times and maybe pre-COVID times, just to kind of, because, COVID adds this new element that we aren't normally dealing with, and hopefully we won't have to deal with much longer. So hopefully it's an exception to the rule of our lives. But if you want to give a little bit of a picture of like being in this relationship with someone that you love spending time with, they're your best friend, and how loneliness plays into that, both in and out of quarantine, and what in those moments you're feeling like you're missing when you're feeling loneliness.
Definitely. I think so. We also moved in together for the first time at the beginning of the pandemic, which was super exciting. And I mean, we'd been together for 9 years at that point, so it wasn't a shock, but I think there was so much excitement and build up to the beginning of the pandemic that it took. And like, I'm very sociable. Like I love being around people, and like, I love being around him. So it took me a really long time to kind of pinpoint that the feeling I was feeling was loneliness with him, because it was like so exciting to be together and to have him during the pandemic. And like, thankfully we weren't living in different places and like had to be long distance and like stuck apart. Like I was like grateful for all these things, but then like at the same time I was like, oh, I'm really lonely. And I think it's just like, he's like the person that I can do literally nothing with, and it's great. Like we can either go do something really fun, or we can sit on the couch for like 5 hours and not talk very much and watch TV. And he's like my really chill person. But I just was like really missing intimacy with my female friends, and just, I mean, you have different conversations with everyone, and like people meet different needs for you. And one thing that was really helpful was one of my best friends actually got married at the beginning of the pandemic, and they had to move home, and they lived in the middle of nowhere too. And it was just her and her husband. And so we talked a lot. We're like, oh my God, like I love them, but they're kind of annoying right now. But I think it's just because I miss you. And it was so nice to just like be able to vocalize that, because whenever I would start getting irritated with John, I would be like, John's literally doing what John does every day. It's me missing my friends. So I'm just going to call a friend and be like, I realized John's annoying me because I miss you. And that was fun. It's nice to have that outlet to like bullshit just for no reason. Cause like, I don't have anything bad to say about him. I just can get tired of him still though.
I'd say that's pretty healthy.
Yeah, I know. I think, that was like the weird thing, as I loved like getting dinner with my friend. Like I would be busy a lot back when we lived in Nashville, like almost like probably 3 nights a week. I'd have friends that would come over, or we'd have dinner somewhere. And like losing that part this last year was really hard for just my social self, and just missing people. Like over the phone is not quite the same. Like you want it to be, but it's just not.
It's not. And Zoom is exhausting.
It's amazing how exhausting it is. It really is.
Yeah. Like even right now, I'm so conscious of where my eyes are looking, and I want to look at the questions. And I'm looking at you, and it's like when you're in the room with somebody, that doesn't matter as much. And Yeah,
definitely.
I agree. Like in-person connection is really important, and it was very much missed.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I just can't wait to see my friends. She's actually, her and her husband are coming here today, so it's super
Oh,
exciting.
perfect.
I know. Yay.
You get to commiserate on
I know,
more.
we get to hug. No.
Yeah.
We were like, you guys need to go do something, just the two of you, so we can do something, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So they are.
Female time.
We need it.
What makes your relationship feel balanced?
Honestly, I think it's the communication of just being like, we've gotten to this place where like we know we want to be together. We know what triggers the other person. We know like that most of our problems aren't problems because we're trying to hurt or bother the other person. It's just because the other person is going through something. And so it's nice, like now, if I feel aggravated by something, I can be like, what you just said really hurt my feelings, and it wasn't what you said. I think it's just that I'm feeling kind of sensitive right now, so I maybe need a little bit more tenderness, and like being able to say that. And I think it took me a really long time to learn that communication because I didn't see that communication from my parents growing up. So just learning that, like, and John did have a really good example of love growing up, so he's always like had, but luckily, like my best interest in mind. And for me, learning that like he's not out to get me, like he's on my team, like he wants to be there for me, and like trusting that. And it's scary because like we're kind of like taught that relationships are going to have a lot of problems, which they are, but like we're almost like not taught to just trust that the other person wants to be there for us. And I think especially this last year, trusting that like we have to be there for each other because we were the only person we had physically around us. So I think that's probably what makes it feel the most balanced, is just the really honest conversations that we have.
Yeah. It's so cool you guys have gotten to that place, and that it sounds like you're really building it into your regularly used language with each other, and that it's like it's almost like it's a valve where when there's too much steam built up, you can just open the valve and steam goes out, and you guys know what you're doing when that happens, and that's really cool.
Yes. It helps like neither of us are fighters. Like we're both very sensitive people. So it helps that it's like if one of us gets really quiet, it's like, okay, so what's going on?
You're like, I'm gonna let some steam out.
Like, yeah, just let it out. Go for it.
Amazing. It's so cool to hear you guys, or hear you talk about you guys, and what you've been able to build, and like what COVID, like the good things COVID has brought you guys, you know?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Because really cool. I know
I think it like expedited things.
Huh?
It like expedited a lot, I think. Like it might have taken a long time to get to that point in communication, but like almost didn't have a choice.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's relationships that didn't survive COVID, right? And so it's either like people either grow together or they don't. And that's just like what life is.
Yeah.
You either grow together or you choose not to. And that's
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it really is that easy.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, it's hard, but it is when it comes down to it.
When it comes down to it, you're either going to choose to keep growing together or choose to not. And that's okay. Yeah. Either one is okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does it feel like as an intern, it's kind of a question about your internal feeling, and then like within the dynamic between you and John, like what does it feel like when you regularly cultivate relationships outside your partnership with John? Like what does it feel like inside of you, I guess inside of you with your friends, and then with John? You know, there's a couple of different impacts.
Yeah, I think I just love connection with people. So I think I take pressure off of mine and John's relationship when I have connection with other people. And I think that's kind of the irony of our culture and relationships, I think, is like there's so much pressure put on romantic partnerships, but if you're putting all of that pressure, like it's never going to live up to your expectations. And so I think it's been really cool to have our own individual things that we love doing and are able to get back to doing now. But when I prioritize my friends, even over COVID, even though it wasn't as satisfying, like doing happy hours or calling each other while we're driving, or a lot of my friends, we got really into sending each other like voice memos on the car, like in the car on the way to work, and like getting back when we could. So that way it wasn't like, because everyone's mental health was all over the place this year. So if you didn't feel like talking, you could respond whenever you wanted to. And like just hearing my friends' voices talk to me was so amazing. Like I needed that. Like I had a job where I had like a 40-minute commute. So all morning I would catch up, like listening to all my friends' voice memos on the way to work. And like it truly made my relationship with John better because I'm not needing as much from him. Like I can expect a reasonable amount of things from him that he gives me that I love. But like having that connection with my friends be constant makes me so much more secure inside too, and just know that like my happiness can come from so many different places, and it makes me feel like more individual too, I think, having my own things.
Yum, 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 yum. That was like such a delicious sentence. I love that so much.
I'm gonna start doing that to my clients. Yum, 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 yum.
Thank you. It just makes me feel delicious things inside.
You know, friends are so good. We need friends.
We need
I just
so many
love
friends.
it. We do. And we like tell our friends we love them. Why not? Everyone needs to feel loved.
I know. I'm going on a friend date tonight with one of my friends. We're gonna get dressed
That's so
up,
exciting.
and we're gonna go to dinner. We were gonna go to the Paris movie theater, but there's only scary movies, and we both don't like scary movies. But we're gonna go.
What a great friend date.
Yeah. No, we like couldn't sleep if we watched it. But we're gonna go probably to dinner and drinks, and we're gonna wear fancy dresses.
So fun.
Yeah, we're doing a friend date tonight.
I love that. That's so exciting. So
I'm really excited. It'll be so cute.
It's so needed.
It's so needed. Yeah, I can't wait for quality time with her. So what is the hardest part of your relationship with John when it comes to quality time?
I think maybe one thing I learned this last year, because he is way more of an introvert than me, but he recharges with me, and I think I recharge with him to an extent, but I think we've had so much quality time, and now we like live in a studio apartment together, so our quality time is through the roof. And I think I've learned that like I actually only fully recharge by myself, and it doesn't have to be like me sitting alone at home, but I recharge like doing things on my own. So like going and getting a coffee by myself and sitting in a coffee shop, or like something that makes me feel like independent and on my own and removed, or just like sitting at home and having a glass of wine and watching reality TV for like 3 hours straight, and then he comes back. That's great. But I think it was mostly me needing to learn how to communicate that, because I think I felt bad for a while that he could recharge with me and didn't need as much alone time, and I did. So I think just like learning how to communicate that, even though he said like I've never hurt his feelings, like asking for it, it's just me needing to be like, it's fine that I need to be alone, or that I need to be all by myself. So I think maybe that, because we've had a lot of quality time this year, so probably that.
If there's one thing I have an abundance of,
it's quality time. You know, I was like, wow, it would be so crazy if life goes back to like kind of whatever our new normal is, and he's gone like 3 nights out of the week. I'm gonna be like, wow, like we haven't seen each other very much, but it's like that's actually normal.
But you still like live in a studio apartment together.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get used to being around each other. And even with my roommate and I, we have a 2-bedroom, you know, but when we go like 24 hours without seeing each other, we're like, oh my gosh, how are you? Tell me everything.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like that right now. But if it's been like 5 hours, like, wow, what did you do today?
You'll have to update him about your time on the fire escape.
I know. Like, I'm just gonna go into the other room, the fire escape.
The other room that's hanging on the side of the building.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, there's that, I feel like they said it in our class, but that idea that balanced isn't always equal in relationships. So like,
yeah,
it's true. Just accounting for like, if John needs more time with you to recharge, but you need different things, as long as everybody's getting their needs met, it doesn't have to be like tit for tat. Like, you know, we spend 3 hours doing what I want to do and then 3 hours doing what you want to, you know, like it balanced. Because
that's just like, we're not like designed the same inside. So we don't, like, you could never have balance, because like someone could need 3 hours of chill time, but someone else might need like a whole day of like recoup time. So like, that's just like completely unrealistic.
It's totally unrealistic. And whatever people need, like, I'm just such a huge believer in like trusting what your body tells you. Like, hey, I need a whole day to watch reality TV and eat banana pudding from Magnolia Bakery.
Oh my God. I had some yesterday. It's running bad.
You're personally keeping them in business.
I know, they have really cheap coffee, so I went for a coffee and they're like just packaging the banana pudding, and I was like, that looks very nice and fresh. Might as well get some.
That looks very nice and fresh.
Very nice and fresh. I'll take some.
I love it. And you know, New York City, I can hear the siren.
Yeah, it's really loud.
There was one in my neighborhood, like right before we got on this call. So
I feel like they last forever because they just like echo down the streets.
It's true. It's just the song of the city. It's just like people screaming and sirens, and
it's entertaining though.
Yeah,
kind of weirdly comforting now.
I know. I'm like, I don't know. It's like so quiet in other places of the world. Like I went to my friend's estate over the weekend, and I'm like, where's the noise? There's no one screaming in the alleyway behind my house.
There's no one having like a honk off down at the bottom of the street. There was the other day, we were sitting on the couch and we had to pause our show because these 2 guys were just honking and yelling, like laying on their horns. And we were like, just drive, like just go. What are you doing? You're the one making it take so long now.
Priorities, guys.
Yeah, whatever.
It's
entertaining.
So how do you feel about, like, you've mentioned a little bit of like missing your friends and wanting time with your friends, but how do you feel about the practice of dating your friends? You know, I read you the article before we started recording this, so you could kind of get an idea of what I am advocating for here, and like, how does that idea fit into your life and your values? And like, don't say just you love it because I'm interviewing you for my article.
I'll be honest.
Yeah, be honest. Like, I really want to hear how people will receive this. And someone who's in a long-term relationship, because I'm not currently partnered, you know, so it's a bit of a different dynamic for me to create it in my life than someone who is partnered and living with their long-term partner. So
well, I do love it because let's see, I am so like screwed up for time with this last year, but I think it was 2019. My partner and I actually broke up for a bit, and my best friend who's coming to visit today, we were both single, and we were like, you know what? Let's just date each other instead of dating anyone else. So she lived about 45 minutes from me. So every weekend we would switch off whose place we stayed at, and we would have like a sleepover and go to brunch and like go out at night, like do all the things. And it was so cool. Like, we still talk about how that made us as close as we are now still. Like we just loved that time. Like it was one of the best times of my life. I think just getting to have like looking forward to and just spending quality time with someone who like was my best friend, who was looking out for me. And I think that was really cool. But even with like my other friends, I am just such a big talker that like whenever I go to dinner with people, I feel like it's always a 3-hour dinner anyways. And I just love that quality time. Like I am really bad at honestly rushing hangouts because I could just sit and talk forever. And so I feel like some of my friendships are so sweet like that, where it's very mutual and we're very intentional with each other. And those are honestly like, it's made even my romantic partnership better to have those other places of intimacy to go to that are fulfilling. So that way it's not all on John's shoulders to be my intimate connection. Like the fact that I have these relationships that like I can have fun, we can go on dates, we can like just be honest and vulnerable. It's been really cool. So I think it's like, I want everyone to go on dates with their friends too. I think it's very necessary.
I do too. I want it so much. Do you think, you know, for people who aren't used to hearing something like this and are like,
yeah,
you know, but my relationship needs so much care, you know, I don't know how I could fit it into my life. You know, and I'm primarily talking about people without kids because kids like bring their own level. Yeah, it's a different type of balance in your life, and kids require so much time that you kind of don't have a lot of say over with your kids. And so what would you say to people who are in partnership? And if people with kids can take something from it, that's great. But like people who are in partnership and are like, I just don't see how I can create so much intentional time with my friends, and I'm worried that my romantic partnership will suffer if I don't give it what I've normally been giving it.
I think that's hard because I think I like beg to differ with that frame of mind. And I would almost say like with anything, like maybe baby steps easing into it. Like you don't have to like each hang out with different people like 4 nights a week. Like you could start out like 1 night a week, you each plan something with a friend, and then you come back together at the end of the night and you tell each other about it. Like I think especially after this year, I'm sure like we've talked about too, like it's either like you were breaking up or we're probably all like a little too attached to our partners because we haven't like been around like anyone. And so I think maybe just taking those little steps and seeing how it feels. But I'm just a really firm believer that having other wholesome relationships will only strengthen your romantic relationship because it takes off that pressure. Like you're getting to go be an individual with someone else, do your own thing. Like you have your own other little corners of the world, and then you get to come back together and you have more to share with each other too. Like, I mean, that's one thing I love about having like my own things is like I get to come back and tell my partner about it, and he gets to come back and tell me about things. And I just think it makes it more exciting than trying to like make each other our whole world.
Yeah. So. I agree with everything you said. Was just like, yes. I feel it so much, everything you said, and like it makes the relationship stronger. And you know, we were saying earlier before we started recording that like relying solely on one person and being in the same room with them can feel torturous, even if you adore that person so much.
No, it's so true. I don't remember what he did the other day, but he like was humming something and then he was just being ridiculous. And I literally just looked at him and I was like, I love you, but whoa. And then we just started cracking up and we're like, yeah, we need to go find things to do on our own here.
I love you, but whoa. I did not sign up for humming when I became your partner.
Being so ridiculous. It was hilarious. I mean, I do that all the time too. We always joke that we're on like the crazy train at different times, the feeling like one of us will have so much energy and the other one's like, what are you doing? And then we'll just switch places later and be like, damn it, why are we never on this thing at the same time?
That's hysterical, but I'm sure it's like so entertaining.
Oh, it is. It's very entertaining.
So my last question, I think, is like, kind of like from somebody in a long-term relationship to the single people out there, and
Yes.
like also to like this very much based in like heteronormative patriarchal demand to couple up so that we can show how not lonely we are, and how people are willing to drop everything to make a relationship work, and choosing relationships maybe out of a place of scarcity because I've got to couple up because I am a woman of this age, or, you know, whatever the pressure may be, because it'll cure my loneliness and all my problems will be over. And I don't think that anybody, if they really sat down and thought about it, really truly might believe that. I don't know, but we can be fueled from that belief that once I'm in partnership, everything is good, you know, and my worth will go up. And I'm speaking from things that I have personally felt, you know, and so, and I know that I'm not alone in feeling these things. And so what would you say to people like, you know, I've never been in a 10-year relationship. And, you know, what would you say to people that are like, wow, this is all I have to do is get into a relationship and be in it for decades and then everything's good. And, you know, I'll feel balanced and I'll feel all the things I need to feel. So what would you say to those people?
Well, I think first, like one of the most helpful things we learned in Somatica, for me at least, was the language around like the fairy tale mindset that we grow up believing in society. And I think obviously like growing up Christian for most of my life, like that was very much the lifestyle of you find one person, it magically works out that the first person you date is who you're going to be with forever. You get married really quickly and you have babies and that's your life. And that's like great if that's what you want to do. But I think that it's just, there's so much emphasis on that. And I think for me, in my relationship, like there was a time when we thought like that because we started dating when we were in high school. So we were very young. And I think we've had to deconstruct a lot of those things, but I've learned that I'm the happiest in my relationship when I'm prioritizing like my mental health and like my well-being and my goals. And like you can do that with a partner and it not be in a selfish way. But I also think the word selfish gets a bad rap because you need to be selfish to an extent to be the best you can be for someone else. Like if we were just focused on each other all the time, like we wouldn't have a good relationship. We need to be individuals. And so I think also remembering too that like a lot of people that jump into relationships just to be in relationships often end up being really lonely in their relationship. And so just being in a relationship isn't going to cure everything. I think working on ourselves constantly, even after you're in a relationship, and always like unlearning things. I just think we always have so many things to unlearn, and just being super attentive to ourselves and like what we really want. Like I think it was really hard to break up with John a few years ago, but I like knew that I needed to do it because I felt like I needed the freedom to grow for a season without him around, even though he would give me that same freedom if we were in partnership. I think there's just something about like, I don't know, sometimes we need to be single and make the most of it. And I know that that's like, it's also okay to be single and sad because you can go through waves and we're constantly like changing and we're very fluid. But I think just getting into a relationship for the right reason, otherwise there's no point to being in a relationship. Because relationships are only good if we make them good.
Relationships aren't just good because they are relationships.
Yes, exactly. And I think like I understand the like wanting society to accept you, and one way it does that is by being in a relationship. But I can advocate for like, we're in a partnership and everyone just asks us when we're getting married and when we're having babies. So you're never going to make anyone happy. So you might as well just do what's best for you.
So like, even though you've been in this great partnership for 10 years,
yes, it's
there's
never
still
enough.
more you have demand, like you still have demands
Yes.
on you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's kind of like, do what's best for you. Don't do anything because you feel like you want other people to accept you. That's not the right reason to do it. And it's probably not going to feel as fulfilling too.
Yeah, totally. Totally. I have so many like beautiful things that I want to take. I want to take all the beautiful things that you just said and they're going in the article in black and white.
Oh, yay.
And you'll be on my my ad in Times Square.
Oh my gosh, thank you. We could get some pictures done.
Like a 40-foot Jennah saying all those.
Let's do it.
We
can do it together. I know, just me.
Just you on your fire escape.
Just me here. This is where I take my calls now.
This is my office.
Welcome to my office, everyone.
I love it. Well, is there anything else you'd want to add? Or do you feel pretty complete?
No, I feel complete. I love doing this. It's so fun.
Yeah. And you had some really important things that are like important things to consider in this piece that I'm working on, and I'm really excited to include it. And I'm going to post this interview to YouTube so people can watch the whole thing, and it'll be awesome.
Yay! I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.